Good morning and welcome to Sportuccino, our first ever. We are live on Facebook and we will be here every single weekday morning to talk to you about the biggest stories in sport. I'm so glad you're here. Please give me your comments on Facebook and using the hashtag Sportuccino. We're live on Sportuccino. I'm excited. I hope you are too. But here are your morning sports headlines. Riding high, Team USA beat Team Europe to win the Ryder Cup. Tottenham defeat Premier League leaders Manchester City 2-0. Arsenal leave it late to beat Burnley 1-0. Manchester United drew 1-1 with Stoke, but it was a good day for their winger Jesse Lingard. He's been called up into Gareth Southgate's first England squad. So, as I mentioned, this is a brand new sports show. We'll be here every single morning, but it's also your show. I really want you to get involved in the program. Please do it using the Facebook page in the comments section below if you're watching on your phone. And I think it's on the side if you're watching it on a MacBook or on a computer screen or something like that. Please give me your thoughts. What do you think of the new England squad named by Gareth Southgate in the post-Allardyce era, so to speak? What do you think of Spurs' performance against Manchester City? And we'll be discussing the Ryder Cup on this show. But first, now I want to tell you that today's show is brought to you by Barclays Eagle Labs. Barclays Eagle Labs provide co-working spaces and private offices for businesses to create, innovate and to grow. And you can learn more about them on their website. It's labs.uk.barclays. And their Twitter handle is @Eagle_Labs. So that's today's sponsor. It is Barclays Eagle Labs. Thank you so much for them for sponsoring today's show. If you want to be a sponsor of the show, all you've got to do is drop us an email at sportsdesk@sportuccino.com. That's sportsdesk@sportuccino.com. So again, this is your show. I want you to interact. Send me a message on Facebook, on the Facebook page. Send us a tweet on Twitter, hashtag Sportuccino, to get involved in the conversation. I would love to hear from you. But we've got a poll on the Twitter page. Let's take a look at it. Today's poll is, will Tottenham win the Premier League this season? That's, will Tottenham win the Premier League this season? Of course, they had that great win against Manchester City yesterday. Pep Guardiola's first defeat in the English Premier League. They had been on a run of, I think it was 6 wins in a row, or they were certainly unbeaten this season, and it finally came at White Hart Lane against Pochettino's Spurs. And of course, Spurs also missed that penalty Lamela, so they could have even won the game 3-0. I really want you to get involved in our show, in the conversation. Send us a comment, send us a like. But of course, the big story today is the Ryder Cup. Team USA defeating Team Europe on Sunday to win it for the first time since 2008 in the biggest margin since 1981. And we're going to get more analysis on this from Adam Fielder. Adam is a golf writer and a golf commentator, and he's joining me now live on Skype to discuss the show. Adam, welcome to Sportuccino. So what did you think of USA's performance yesterday?
I thought they were superb right from Friday, really. I think obviously they came into the tournament as favourites. A lot of people thought they were going to win by a large margin, and in the end they did. As you said, their biggest win since about 1981, or for 35 years. So it was an absolute drubbing, really. And Darren Clark gambled. I think he had to. Obviously, we were 9.5, 6.5 down going into yesterday, so he kind of front-loaded his team. So he put all his big names right at the top. Hoped that McIlroy and Stenson and Peters, who played superbly, would get Europe off to a great start. Obviously, McIlroy, the big name in the European side, then lost to Patrick Reed, who was just incredible. Yes, I've never seen a match like it, in fact. And obviously, when the European side then see that Rory McIlroy has lost first out, it then doesn't exactly inspire confidence throughout the rest of the team. And unfortunately, it just didn't quite happen for Europe this year. But, we gave it a good go. And to be honest, it's about time the Americans won again, isn't it?
Well, if I remember rightly, McIlroy lost to Patrick Reed. He was one of the real stars for Team USA, wasn't he, Adam?
He's a bit like America's version of Ian Poulter almost. He gets in your face. He's not particularly well liked, I don't think, by European fans, but he was unplayable almost. Yes, I think Rory McIlroy was 5 under on the front 9, and it was still only all square through 9, and then it still went up the 18th. I think McIlroy was 1 down going up the 18th, and McIlroy hit it to within kind of 6-7 feet, and typical Patrick Reed, he goes and matches him and rolls in the birdie to win 1 up. So yeah, as I said, it was disappointing for Clark and Europe, because I think they put Rory out first, they put their big gun out first to get some blue on the board early, and unfortunately that didn't happen. The two big names really, Patrick Reed was America's best player by some distance, I think. Unfortunately, Dustin Johnson going into it, you'd say, was their biggest name, but didn't quite happen for him this Ryder Cup. But yeah, that partnership between Patrick Reed and Jordan Spieth as well is just such a strong one. And, yeah, that was certainly laid the foundation for an American victory.
So, were the US just too strong, or what did you think of Darren Clarke's captaincy? Was he the right captain? Did he make mistakes?
It's easy in hindsight, isn't it? I don't think anyone had too many complaints when Darren Clarke was in the captaincy. He's been a hugely successful player over the years. I think everyone remembers the 2006 Ryder Cup in the K Club when he had that incredibly emotional time, and he was absolutely superb throughout it. So yeah, I don't think too many complaints were made when he was given the captaincy. I think you people were had a few question marks over his wild card picks. He left out Russell Knox, who has won twice this year. He's in great form. He chose Lee Westwood, who again, in hindsight, maybe not the greatest choice. He hasn't had a particularly good season. He finished second in the Masters. But other than that, he hasn't done a huge amount. I think he was in the final pairing of the US Open and then shot an 80 in his final round. So I think Lee Westwood was certainly picked on reputation rather than form. Thomas Pieters was fantastic, obviously. And Martin Keimer as well was the other one that was chosen. Again, perhaps chosen on reputation rather than current form. But it was just Darren Clarke's, the way he went about it, I wasn't particularly impressed with. I think the fact that Martin Keimer played four matches out of the 5 was a little odd, because he wasn't playing particularly well at the start of the week. So why did he play almost every match? I'm not so sure. Obviously, you had the whole thing with Danny Willett as well, supposed to be playing apparently on Friday, and then his brother wrote that article, and then Darren Clarke had to kind of do some last-minute changes, brought in Thomas Pieters. And it was even things like Rory McIlroy said when he played with Thomas Pieters on the Saturday morning. They flipped a coin, McIlroy and Thomas Pieters, as to who would tee off first. And you just kind of think Darren Clarke's supposed to have been preparing this, and he's this meticulous guy in preparation, and yet they're flipping a coin to see who tees off first in a foursomes match, when really it's supposed to be very strategic. You work out what holes, who's best on the par 5s, who's best on the par 3s, and tee off accordingly. It seemed to have too much preparation, and it was all done, a bit off the cuff at times. And yeah, I don't think he was a hugely successful captain, if I'm honest.
You mentioned Pieters there, Adam. They, if I'm right, I think they had 6 rookies in that European team. Will this experience help them for 2 years' time when they go to France?
Well, I mean, you look at Thomas Pieters, and experience counted for nothing, really. It was his first ever Ryder Cup. He got into the team very late, and he produced hugely. He actually played a tournament with Darren Clarke, and he went on to win that tournament right at the end of the season in Denmark. But yeah, I mean, it will help. I don't think it's particularly helpful for a captain when he knows he's got so many rookies, because I think maybe Darren Clarke actually felt forced into playing the likes of Lee Westwood and Martin Keimer a lot, because he thought, oh God, I've got Chris Wood, who's a rookie, Matt Fitzpatrick, Rafa Cabrera-Bello, all these guys who perhaps he just didn't trust very much. So yeah, you'd certainly like to think that in Paris in a couple of years' time, they're all quite young as well, Fitzpatrick and people like that. So they'll have another couple of years on tour, and they'll certainly know that the fans in Europe will be a little bit kinder to them than the USA fans this year. There's been a lot of talk about that, and they couldn't really have played in a much more hostile environment. So I think it would certainly help them going into Paris in 2018. Yeah.
Do you think it helped for Team USA that they had such high-profile vice-captains? Of course, you've got Tiger Woods there. You've got those scenes at the end of Bubba Watson crying. In a weird way, was them stealing kind of the limelight at times helping some of the USA players, like moving the pressure away from some of them, or are they just so used to these high-pressure situations that really didn't play a factor?
No, you're right. I mean, the Ryder Cup is just completely different to what most of these players are used to. They are obviously very high profile. They're used to playing under pressure. But the Ryder Cup is just completely different to what they're used to. And yeah, I think you're right. It's very unusual for a team's vice captains to pick up a lot of the attention. And obviously you've got the likes of Tiger Woods there and Bubba Watson, as you said. People were very confused as to why Bubba Watson was a vice captain, because he was someone very, very close to actually making the team. Tiger Woods hasn't played golf for however long. His Ryder Cup record is very poor considering the career that he's had. So I think a few people were kind of thinking, well, what could Tiger Woods offer? Obviously, a wealth of experience, but he's considered very much an individual rather than a team player. Watson is supposedly not particularly well liked on the PGA Tour, so would he have been a good influence? But I mean, it obviously paid off. I'm guessing along with Davis Love III, the captain, they came up with pairings, and Tiger Woods actually said that he told Davis Love III not to rest Patrick Reed and Jordan Spieth, because Davis Love III is someone that likes to rest all his players at least once. So Dustin Johnson was rested, and apparently he said to Tiger Woods, look, I'm going to rest Patrick Reed and Jordan Spieth on, I think it was Saturday afternoon. And Tiger Woods said, no, you're not. They're playing too well. You keep them in. And, they obviously went on to win that match, and they will probably keep pairing in the USA team. So that was good advice from Tiger. So yeah, I mean, in hindsight, again, it looks as though those high-profile vice captains really paid off for the USA.
Was there one match, one foursome, four-ball singles match that you particularly enjoyed during this Ryder Cup? What was your favourite moments of the past 3 days?
Oh God. Well, I mean, yeah, the Patrick Reed, Rory McIlroy match, yes, especially the front nine. I don't think people could quite believe what they were watching at times. Just every single putt was going in. So many birdies. I remember, I think it was the fifth hole that drivable par 4, and Patrick Reed put his drive to 6 or 7 feet and then made the eagle. So yeah, I mean, that match certainly sticks out. But I think Thomas Pieters was a big plus in this Ryder Cup. He's very inexperienced. He hits it a mile, and just the way that he took to the pressure, it didn't seem to faze him at all. Yesterday in his singles match against JB Holmes, he went 2 down after 2 holes. And for someone that's never played in a Ryder Cup on away soil as well, it would have been very easy for Thomas Pieters to kind of think, oh my goodness, what is happening here? But then he bounced back, won the next 2 holes, and then went on to win the match. So yeah, I think Thomas Pieters was a massive plus for this whole Ryder Cup. And yeah, I mean, Lee Westwood, you've got a feel for Lee Westwood, but he's he's again someone that sticks in the mind. Match of Saturday where he missed the putt on 17, about a 5-foot putt on 17, and then had about 18-inch putt on the 18th to secure a half point for Europe, and it didn't even hit the hole. So it just shows how Lee Westwood coming into this was, I think he needed 2.5 points to so as Europe's highest ever Ryder Cup point scorer. And it shows that even someone as experienced as Lee Westwood can feel the pressure. And I think it just summed up Westwood's Ryder Cup that he was then on the end of the match yesterday in the singles that actually won the USA the Ryder Cup with Ryan Moore. He was 2 up with 3 to play, Westwood, and went on to lose the last 3 holes to lose 1 up. And it just kind of summed up Lee's Ryder Cup, unfortunately. But so many memories and a fantastic experience, as always.
Well, I think that's a great place to leave this conversation, Adam. Just before you go, why don't you tell some of our viewers how they can continue to follow your opinions on golf and everything like that, maybe with a Twitter handle or a website or anything else you'd like to promote on today's Sportuccino?
Yeah, if you want to listen to me witter on about fairly pointless stuff in the golf world and the sports world, then yeah, my Twitter is at Fielder9, so yeah, come and follow me on there.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Adam Fielder, golf commentator and writer, thank you so much for your thoughts and your time this morning on Sportuccino. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Richard.
Well, it was great to have Adam there on the show. Remember, if you've got an opinion on golf, we'd love to hear from you. Just send us a message on the bit below on the Facebook page, because we are live. We are live every single morning at 8 a.m. on Sportuccino. We've also got the website, sportuccino.com. We've also got the Twitter page at Sportuccino. And if you want to join the conversation on Twitter, remember to use that hashtag Sportuccino. And if you like this show, or if you have opinions of the show, let me know. What I'd love to see is some of these. Oh, it's gone yellow, unfortunately, but you know what I mean. It's got the smiley face. See, that didn't work. But this is the thing. We're live. It's a breakfast show. We're relaxed. We're having fun. You know, you might be on your way to work. You might be really bored. You might be like, oh, what am I going to do? I want to talk about football. I want to talk about what happened in yesterday's matches. Maybe talk, can Spurs win the Premier League? Maybe talk about what Manchester City need to do differently. Here's a random thought for you. Should Man City bring back Yaya Toure? Could that be a player Pep Guardiola could have up his sleeve? How much did they miss Kevin De Bruyne yesterday? Was that an important person that Pep Guardiola didn't have yesterday? What about Arsenal? Did they deserve that win against Burnley? Well, the ball definitely came off Lauren Koscielny's arm for that late goal against Burnley for Arsenal. So did they really deserve that win? What about Leicester? They look great in the Champions League, but are really stuttering in the English Premier League. Goalless draw against Southampton, even though Charlie Austin let me down in my Fantasy Premier League. Of course, if you play Fantasy Premier League, we've got our own league. It's hashtag Sportuccino. If you look on the Twitter page, you will see our code to join our league, and we'll keep you up to date on who's winning and who's losing each week as we go. That's on Fantasy Premier League. All the details are on the Twitter page and on our Facebook page. So we'd love to hear more details from you on that. Now, I mentioned the website. One of the things on the website is you can help support our show by buying some of this merchandise. So that really is a great way to help us on Sportuccino by buying some of the merchandise, sportuccino.com. My mug is on the way. When I get the mug, I will bring it and I will drink out of it live on Sportuccino. Yes, I'm a bit of a mug myself, but don't be a mug, buy a mug. help support Sportuccino. Now, I want to make a reminder of today's poll, and I want you to give your opinion on whether Tottenham will win the English Premier League this season. They're the only team unbeaten left in the English Premier League after they got that win against Manchester City. They came really close last season. It was only about 2 or 3 games towards the end where they finally lost the race against Leicester. And they've recruited a few players. Victor Wanyama looks good. They've now got Janssen as kind of backup for Harry Kane. Some players aren't too impressed with him. What's your thoughts on Janssen? What's your thoughts on Wanyama? Are they any good? I would really love to know what you think about all of that. Well, I'd like to remind you that today's show is brought to you by Barclays Eagle Labs. Barclays Eagle Labs provide co-working spaces for businesses to create, innovate and to grow. You can see their Twitter page is at @eagle_labs and their website is labs.uk.barclays. So that's today's sponsor. That is Barclays Eagle Labs, and they've got labs across the country, including London and Brighton. If you would like to become a sponsor on Sportuccino, all you've got to do is email sportsdesk@sportuccino.com. Remember, if you've got any views, please get involved. Give us a comment on the Facebook page, on Twitter, #Sportuccino. Now, earlier in the show, we had a guest. It was Adam Fielder, and he was talking about golf, and we went through a lot of different things on the show with Adam, only about golf. But don't worry, we've got lots more guests coming up. We're going to be talking a lot to do with health and nutrition and fitness. Now, for some of you who know me, I was a little bit tubbier. I was a little bit bigger. About 3-4 years ago, I was about 20 kilos heavier than I am now. In the last 3 months, I've lost another 10 kilos by doing a 21-day challenge. And I'll be getting my personal trainer, Sol Gilbert, on the show soon in the next few weeks. But we will be having guests from the health and nutrition world and exercise world to give you an idea of how you can improve your everyday life and how you can get better in the gym and just stay fit and healthy, because that's ideally what we all want to do. We don't want to be sluggish, we don't want to be overweight, we want to keep our heart in good condition. So one of the other features we're going to be doing every morning on Sportuccino is we're going to be doing various product reviews, and I've got a really funny one coming up for you later this week where I try some compression tights. That's coming up all this week on Sportuccino, and I've got a few prize giveaways related to some of these product reviews. But today I'm going to talk about a nutrition bar. This nutrition bar is called Carb Killa, and it's made by Grenade. It's a high protein, low carb bar, and here it is. Here it is on your screen. Let me just tell you a little bit more about it. It's ideal for those on a low carb diet and avoiding sugar and processed carbs. And it's those who are wanting a high protein, low carb snack. Yes, that is the information from their website. I just want to make it clear that this bar's not been provided to me by Grenade. I bought it myself. I believe it was about £2.50. And the main reason I want to mention it to you is because it actually was really tasty. Now, if there's any kind of protein bars you eat, you enjoy, please put in the comments below. But you see it on the screen that way. Which way? This way. This way. There we go. See, I'm still getting used to this. We're live. We're live on Sportuccino. What is going on? This is the fun of morning TV. I've got a bar here. I had to take the wrapper off because it was green and I've got a blue screen and it would all get messed up. But let's take a bite here. I know, this is riveting TV, you know, watching Richard Parr eat some food. But I don't know if you can see, move a bit closer. It's got different layers of chocolate and nougat. And there's 22 grams of protein in this bar. So it's going to build those guns, you know, it's going to help with the gun show. But the reason I'm bringing it up is it's actually really nice. I don't know if you know about After Eights. Tastes a little bit like after eights. This one is the, which flavour is this? Sorry. This is the dark chocolate mint flavour. They've got a variety of flavours. I believe they've got 5 flavours, and yet it tastes really good. And as I mentioned to you, I lost a lot of weight, and mainly that was due to a high protein, low carb diet, as this bar does, but also I went gluten free. So that meant no wheat, so that meant no bread, it meant no pasta, it meant only certain rices. Oh, sorry, I'm still digesting this protein bar. Carb Killa by Grenade. And this is a gluten-free bar. So if you're trying to stay gluten-free or you're gluten intolerant, this could be a really good bar for you to enjoy. One of the other things I did on this fitness plan was stay dairy-free. Unfortunately, this does include milk. There is soy involved, but it does include milk, so it's not dairy-free. One thing I would add though is while it is gluten-free, it is made in a factory which may contain gluten. So if you really are intolerant, you might just want to be careful if you're going to buy it. But I've got to say, it's one of the tastiest protein bars around. You can have 2 in a controlled diet. I would personally recommend it. As I said, this has not been provided to me by the company. It's a product I personally use, and this is my review on the Grenade Carb Killa, and I've really enjoyed it. If you have any kind of bars, we've got one comment here. Let's join in a bit of the conversation, and we've got it from Gareth Messenger. He's saying wonderful viewing, not just any ordinary breakfast with Richard Parr. It's a glorious breakfast with Richard Parr. Gareth, of course, is mentioning about wrestling. Bobby Roode, he's an NXT wrestler, talking about glorious. You know, this is the thing about this show. We can go in any direction we want, and it's my show. I can do what the hell I want. And one of the things I will be doing is talking about professional wrestling on this show. We'll be doing that on Thursday when we preview No Mercy, and next Tuesday we will review No Mercy. So football, cricket, tennis, corruption, wrestling, you name it, we're going to be covering it here on Sportuccino, and that's what these comments are for. I would love to know what you think about all of these different things on Sportuccino. All right, just before we go, I just want to give you a reminder of today's headlines. They are coming up for you right now. Riding high, Team USA beat Team Europe to win the Ryder Cup. Tottenham defeat Premier League leaders Manchester City 2-0. Arsenal leave it late to beat Burnley 1-0. Manchester United drew 1-1 with Stoke, but it was a good day for their winger Jesse Lingard. He's been called up into Gareth Southgate's first England squad. Well, we've got another comment here. Andy Richardson asks, is Big Sam set for Villa? Well, I think at the moment he's just enjoying a relaxing time in one of his Spanish villas or some other part of the world, trying to stay out of the limelight, Big Sam, after losing his England job. But, you know, as they say, he had the greatest record of all time as an England manager with a 100% record. So I think it'll be sooner rather than later to when we see Big Sam back at a big club. Well, certainly an English Premier League club. Some people say they wouldn't be surprised to see him back at Sunderland. Sunderland pretty much always seem to be replacing their manager around Christmas time. So could he be helping them for another great escape? We'll have to wait and see on that. Remember, if you want to get involved, all you've got to do is write a comment in the Facebook page, send us a message on #Sportuccino on Twitter. Well, we're coming up to wrap up the show. See, I've still got a bit of protein bar in me. Should have had a glass of water. Never mind, that was the Carb Killa. We mentioned that earlier. But we're coming towards the end of the show. I want to really thank you for watching the first ever Sportuccino on Facebook. Facebook Live. We will be live every single weekday morning at 8 a.m. You know, I want to be your reliable source for sports, entertainment and news every morning on Facebook, but we'll also be replaying the show on YouTube, and it will be available as an audio podcast on iTunes and Stitcher. All of those details are on sportuccino.com. If you've liked the show, please share it with your friends on Facebook. Please talk about it on social media, because your support is what we need, and effectively, this is your show. Well, that's about it for the first ever Sportuccino. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back again tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.